A newborn is lifted into the cold morning air. Elders watch in silence. There is no applause, no celebration, only judgment. If the child is deemed weak, the story ends before it can even begin. This is not a myth, not a legend whispered to frighten children. This is Sparta, where the state decided who was allowed to live, and where war was not an event, but a way of life. To understand the Spartan army, you have to forget almost everything you think you know about ancient warriors. These men did not fight for glory in the way Homer imagined heroes. They fought because they were engineered to. Sparta was less a city and more a military machine, built on a foundation of discipline so severe it would terrify even its allies. Sparta rose in the rugged region of Laconia, surrounded by mountains that cut it off from much of Greece. This isolation bred an intense, inward-looking culture. Early on, the Spartans conquered neighboring Messenia and enslaved its people, creating a massive underclass known as the Helots. These Helots farmed the land, fed the state, and tragically, outnumbered Spartan citizens by as much as 10 to 1. So, the Spartan army was not designed just to fight foreign enemies, it existed to prevent rebellion at home. Fear shaped everything. From the age of 7, Spartan boys were taken from their families and enrolled in the Agage, a state-run training system that blurred the line between education and a survival experiment. They were taught to read and write just enough to be dangerous with words, but their real lessons were in hunger, pain, and absolute obedience. Food was deliberately scarce, not because Sparta lacked resources, but because boys were expected to steal to survive. If they were caught, they were punished not for the act of theft, but for being careless enough to get caught. Pain was a teacher. Boys were whipped, sometimes publicly, sometimes to the point of death, and complaints were forbidden. Tears were a sign of weakness. Even their speech was controlled. Spartans became famous for their short, sharp replies, what we now call laconic wit, named after their homeland of Laconia. When a mother handed her son his shield before he left for battle, she famously told him to return with it, or on it. There was no third option. This training never truly ended. At 20, a Spartan became a full-time soldier, joining a mess group where loyalty to his comrades mattered more than loyalty to his own blood. Marriage was allowed, but family life came a distant second to the state. Men often lived in barracks until the age of 30, visiting their wives in secret like nervous teenagers. The army came first. It always did. What made the Spartan army so terrifying wasn't individual strength, it was unity. Spartans fought as hoplites, heavily armored infantrymen carrying massive shields, long spears, and short swords. Alone, a Spartan was formidable, but together, they were nearly unstoppable. They moved as one single body, shields overlapping, spears thrusting in perfect rhythm. In ancient warfare, panic was the real enemy, and Spartans trained until fear became nothing more than background noise. Their discipline became legendary. While other Greek armies would break formation to chase individual glory, the Spartans held the line. Retreat was shameful. Survival without honor was considered far worse than death. This mindset made them both admired and feared across the entire Greek world. Then came the moment that would immortalize them forever. And for 80 BCE, the Persian Empire, vast, wealthy, and seemingly unstoppable, invaded Greece. King Xerxes marched west with an army so large, ancient sources claimed it drank rivers dry. To stop him, a small Greek force took a position at Thermopylae, a narrow mountain pass where sheer numbers mattered less. Leading the Spartans was their king, Leonidas. According to tradition, the Spartan council had consulted the oracle at Delphi and received a chilling prophecy. Either Sparta would fall, or a Spartan king must die. Leonidas understood the message. He chose 300 Spartans, all men with living sons, to carry on their names, and marched north to face the invasion. For days, they held the pass. Persian soldiers attacked in wave after wave, fully expecting the Greeks to crumble. They did not. Spears shattered, shields locked, bodies piled up around them. Even the elite Persian immortals, the emperor's personal guard, failed to break the Spartan line. The world watched as an empire stalled against a handful of men who simply refused to move. Then came the betrayal. A local Greek showed the Persians a hidden mountain path that went around the pass. Leonidas realized what was coming. He dismissed most of the Greek allies, ordering them to survive and fight another day. He and his Spartans stayed. So did a small number of other Thespians and Thebans, knowing they would not leave the place alive. When the final battle came, the Spartans fought without fear. When their spears broke, they used their swords. When their swords snapped, they used their hands and their teeth. Leonidas fell in the fighting, and his body was fought over until the very last man stood surrounded. Persia won the battle, but Sparta won the story. Thermopylae didn't save Greece on its own, but it bought precious time. It inspired a spirit of resistance and forged a legend that still echoes thousands of years later. The idea that discipline and sacrifice could defy overwhelming force became the Spartan army's eternal signature. Yet, the truth is always more complicated. Sparta's obsession with war made it powerful, but it also made it fragile. Innovation was slow. Art, philosophy, and commerce were neglected. While Athens was debating new ideas and building powerful fleets, Sparta clung to tradition. Its rigid system could not adapt easily to change. Eventually, the very tactics that once made Sparta unbeatable became predictable. In 371 BCE, at the Battle of Leuctra, the unthinkable happened. The Theban general Epimenides shattered the Spartan phalanx using a deeper, angled formation that concentrated force on one point. Spartan soldiers died in shocking numbers. For the first time, Greece saw that Sparta could bleed and that it could lose. The illusion of invincibility was broken. Sparta never fully recovered. Its population dwindled and its dominance faded. The army that once defined Greek warfare became a shadow of its former self, remembered more for what it had been than what it was. And yet, the Spartan army never truly disappeared. Its image survives, sometimes distorted, sometimes romanticized. Modern culture often paints Spartans as flawless warriors, stripped of all context and contradiction. But the real Spartans were both extraordinary and deeply unsettling. They built the most disciplined army of their age by sacrificing individuality, compassion, and freedom. Their strength came at a cost that few societies would ever be willing to pay. And perhaps that's why they still fascinate us. The Spartan army forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. How much of our humanity would we give up to be unbeatable? Sparta chose its answer without hesitation. For centuries, it worked, and when it finally failed, it left behind a legend powerful enough to outlive the city itself. Long after Sparta fell silent, the echo of marching feet remained steady, relentless, and unforgettable. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this look into history, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories from the ancient world. See you next time.